Hello YouTube, you got me VGH here once again with a crazy deck profile video. Now, if you guys saw before, I did post a tournament run with this deck where we ended up getting 9th place in an 80-man tournament. Now, this is going to be more of a rundown of the deck itself with some gameplay where I can actually explain a little bit more about what my thought process were when playing the actual deck. This could help some players understand the deck a little bit better, along with being able to possibly pilot or try it themselves. The idea being Mega Floette EX, one of the newest cards from Chaos Rising. Mega Floette has a 1 energy attack that does heal all Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's, for 30 HP. Very small and minor to think about, but in the matchup of Frostlass Munkidori, it is a possible win condition where you are able to stall out your opponent by just using this single single energy attack to heal both sides to full HP, regardless of the factor that they can just keep moving damage counters, because all you have to do is not place Pokemon with abilities down on your board, and then their Munkidori combos don't work at all. So you just one Mega Floette, set up using its first attack, Gentle Blight, everyone just keeps getting healed, and you can win that matchup. But the main bread and butter of the deck is the Eternity Bloom 200 damaging 3 psychic energy attacks that states you can search your deck for up to 4 basic psychic energies and place them on your board in any way that you like. Basically, this allows you to set up all of your other Pokemon to attack. Something you need to consider is the fact that you can also set up Pokemon like Meowth and Fezandipiti to also attack if need be. The combo goes with, of course, Mega Floette to set up your board state, but it starts with Smoochum. Smoochum has an attack called Delightful Kiss, which allows you to search your deck for up to 2 basic psychic energies and place them on one of your Pokemon. So you're able to use turn 1 Smoochum to attack, get 2 energies on Mega Floette, and your follow-up turn would mainly be putting 1 extra energy down on Floette to start attacking to get even more value out of your energies. Of course, we have Latias, which allows all basic Pokemon to have a 0-cost retreat, which your entire deck is all basics. So Latias is very good, especially for that turn 1 play, to allow us to get that free switch in to Smoochum. If we get the ability to get it on the board, Smoochum will be our best startup Pokemon. Xerneas is another new card from Chaos Rising. Xerneas has an attack called Geostorm for 3 psychic energies that states for every energy on your board, plus 30 damage. Using Eternity Bloom on your Mega Floette EX up to 2 times, you can get 8 extra energies on the board, including the 3 that are already on Mega Floette. This makes the attack for Xerneas spike incredibly high. So very quickly, Xerneas is able to get to 300 damage, 400 damage, making Xerneas an incredible 1-prize attacker in a deck that runs 3 prize attackers like Mega Floette. We do also run 2 Lillie's Clefairy EX, and that is because, 1, yes, you can still attack with it as it is base. If your opponent's full bench and you're full bench, you are still swinging for 220, which is not a bad number to hit since there are Terra Pokemon like Ogerpon that are still 210 HP. Same thing with Meowth, Fezandipiti, deck cards that are in basically everyone's deck. Lillie's Clefairy can still attack in a pinch. But since one of the best decks in the format right now is Dragapult, having 2 Clefairy allows you to get that utility of even throwing one out, potentially, making your opponent think you don't have Clefairy. They might end up red carding you, and you have options like Ultra Ball, Night Stretcher, multiple different ways in order to get a second Clefairy from your deck or the first Clefairy from your discard pile back onto the board to double your damage. Xerneas only needs 6 energies in total on the board to hit double damage to knock out a Dragapult. Mega Floette hits for 200 already. Latias can even attack for 200 damage, which is also a psychic type that allows Clefairy to double into 400. Clefairy itself can attack into 400, and it's not very difficult to set this Pokemon up. As I say in every single video since these Pokemon have came out, everyone's running a 1-1 Meowth and Fezandipiti. The supporter Pokemon aren't exactly too crazy. For Lillie's, honestly a staple in most decks these days. double boss, double Colress, obviously Colress with the ability to grab both Prism Tower and Ange Floette. I'll explain those when I get to them. And a Telepathic Energy. This deck is planned to go second. So opening Colress Tenacity or Telepathic Energy does give you a massive, massive advantage. We do run double Petrel. So far we haven't had too much testing with it because I never seem to draw it when I really want to. But using Meowth, using Ultra Ball to go get Meowth into Petrel can help you find Hero's Cape, since there is no real way to immediately search it out, along with Lily's Pearl if you're using Lillie to attack. Everything else has multiple ways of searching it out. The one of Kieran. I was very skeptic about using Kieran since we already had Latias for free switching, but I figured we needed a way to get out of things like Corner Trap or, like things like Yveltal or, Wellspring Mask Ogerpon. So we added the one of Kieran, and boy howdy, it shattered every expectation that I had for it, because since Mega Floette only hits for 200, Kieran's plus 30 allows you to knock out things that before you definitely couldn't knock out. The only EX, basic EX, that has more than 230 HP is Raging Bolt, which, it's a dragon, so Lillie's Clefairy can double your damage knocking it out. Everything else is 230 or lower. This basically just means if you have Kieran, you are one-shotting every basic EX Pokemon in the game with Mega Floette. But also, it does give you the option to switch. Now, this option to switch isn't just meant to get out of corner ability, saw blocking. It does give you the ability to set up, even without Latias, to switch your Pokemon out. Sometimes it's just something you have to think about. Of course, you run the 4 of Wondrous Patch. Now, I've been experimenting running 2, 3 because it's necessarily not needed, but it does help quite a bit, especially with Xerneas. If your backup is a Xerneas to attack and your Mega Floette gets knocked out, you're losing, up to 3 energies. So Wondrous Patch allows you to get them back, so that way your Xerneas is able to hit for more damage very quickly. Ultra Ball and Special Red Card are nothing special these days, but I'll go over Special Red Card because it is a new card from Chaos Rising, which states that if you are at 3 prize, or if your opponent's at 3 prize cards remaining, your opponent will shuffle their cards, put them at the bottom of their deck, and draw 3. So it's a good hand reset. Little hand disruption, very easy to get to. And the reason we run 2 is because our main attacker is Mega Floette. So if our opponent takes us out, they're going to 3 prizes. So we make sure we have a Special Red Card ready for them. And again, most of the games you play, you're not using a second Mega Floette to go attacking. You're more likely using Xerneas as your backup, or Lillie's Clefairy as a backup as an attacker. So you'll most likely be able to pull off Special Red Card twice, which could lead to you potentially finding a way to come back by using Special Red Card, limiting your opponent's hands, limiting your opponent's playstyle, and then just going in for a couple more attacks. Energy Recycler is basically a must because if, say, Mega Floette does get knocked out your first one, you lose 3 energies. If you've lost any other energies from discarding or abilities or whatever it may be, Energy Recycle puts them all back into the deck. Mega Floette attack brings them out of the deck and back onto the board, and that way your Xerneas becomes a single prize attacker once again. Yes, it is a little difficult, but it's good to have. It's one of those cards that I would rather have and not use than not have and need it to win a game. We still do run a 1 of Night Stretcher. This, again, like I stated before, is mainly for those Ultra Ball discards. If we need to discard an energy, if we need to discard a Pokemon, we are able to get it back with Night Stretcher. Certain matchups, obviously, if you're up against Dragapult, they're going to be targeting your Clefairy if you put it on the board first. So if it gets knocked out or if it gets discarded, you can bring it back. 1 of Night Stretcher is always a safety card to have. Now, this is where things become fun. We're going to go over Lily's Pearl first, and then we're going to go over the super duper combo of the deck, which makes this deck super hysterical. And probably the reason why you click on the video in the first place. Lily's Pearl gives Lily's a tool that allows Lillie to -1 of its prize points. So your combo can be Mega Floette 3 prizes, Lily's is 1 prize, and then 2 Xerneas is 1 prize. In a perfect world. It is difficult to kind of get the Lily's Pearl. That's why I have the Petrel to try and help me get it. But if you are able to do it, you can significantly limit the amount of prizes on the board when you're using attackers, making it more of a force your opponent to use bosses situation to get rid of things like Latias rather than attacking Clefairy. And then Clefairy can still be on the board, or Xerneas can still be on the board and still only be a 1 cost, so if they attack that, it's like you're trying to limit the amount of prize cards your opponent takes to try and win the game. Now, our big combo, Prism Tower. Prism Tower is the first supporting stadium you have to use. It allows you to discard 2 to draw 1. Very simple ability, both players can use it, so it is kind of a nuisance, but it does help. Kind of reminds me of Pokemon Stop from way back, where you mill the top 3 cards of your deck, but you can get any items you see there, but every time your opponent uses it, like, it would always whiff, because you shouldn't use your opponent's Pokemon Stop. But Prism Tower is discard 2, draw 1. Honestly, I've seen so many people discard cards that I swear they've needed, so it's kind of a bait in a way, but not really. But Prism Tower is the startup supporter stadium where you discard 2, draw 1. Does help get energies in the discard pile, so you can use Wondrous Patch to bring them to the board to make your Xerneas plays a little faster if need be. And then we have the secondary stadium, the Ange Floette. Ange Floette states that each Mega Floette EX in play, both yours and your opponent's, get plus 150 HP, making my Mega Floette have 400 HP. The highest amount of HP of any Mega Pokemon in the game. Of course, that is with an ability, so if you count other Pokemon with an ability getting an extra X amount of HP, and of course getting them to higher, you can make it higher. So, we stack that with Hero's Cape. This makes our Ange Floette Hero Caped Mega Floette have 500 HP. It is almost guaranteed to survive a single hit. There is no Pokemon in the entire game that can swing for 500 except for things like Raging Bolt, of course. But again, you have to discard like 8 energies or something like that in order to get that far. I don't even think that's right. But to do that means that they're basically using every single utility to deal with 1/3 prize Pokemon. And it's crazy, because even to get into that matchup, you have an advantage because it's all dragons, but you have 500 HP, you're almost guaranteed to survive a hit. And because of the survival, we do want to try and add a Wally's into this deck. I think it still needs a lot more refining, but this is a wonderful place to start. Last couple cards to go over, of course, is the 13 Psychic Energy and the 4 Telepathic Energy. Telepathic stating that when you attach it to a Psychic Pokemon, you can take 2 basic Psychics out of your deck and place them onto your bench. If we start Colress, if we start Telepathic, and any Psychic Pokemon, aka the worst start is Meowth, Fezandipiti, but the other 11 Pokemon we can start with. With 1 Telepathic, you can get most, if not every single time, a combo play where you can get Smoochum to the active, Mega Floette on the bench, and Latias has a free retreater. So that way we're able to get ourselves set up the way that we want to get set up. Now, do we have to use just those 3 combo? No, you can still do it with Clefairy, because Clefairy can still swing for big damage, especially if you have a way of setting up the rest of your bench. You can still hit Clefairy for big damage, or even set up Xerneas, so that way you can set him to attack as well. Big idea is that we're trying to force that turn 1 Smoochum attack to boost our Mega Floette, so a Floette can give us more energy for the rest of the game. In most cases, you are hitting for these cards very quickly, and we brought this to a tournament where we went 5-1-1 to go into asymmetrical cut, where we got a little bit of a bug that screwed us up. And if you want to see that gameplay, there's another video for the tournament run of this deck where you guys can see exactly what happened and why we lost asymmetrical. But it still landed 9th in a 80-player tournament after 7 rounds of gameplay, getting us that 5-1-1 record. Quick reminder, very, very few decks out there actually have a weakness on this one, because it is weak to steel. Latias is technically weak to dark, but it is mostly weak to steel. There's not a lot of steel decks in the upper meta right now. Of course, if you do run into one, it is most likely the Metal Maker, Heatran, and Metagross, 'Metagross, and 'Metagross, 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 I don't know how to tell you this, besides, it's basically a loss. It's basically a loss. But it's the only thing that is in the playability stature of right now, because no one really is using Arcaludon, even though it's a solid deck. It's not like beating Dragapult and things of that nature. So, like, people aren't really using the counter to this deck. I think it's in a very strong position right now. Do I know how the ladder is going to change in a little bit? No. But do I think it's very, very powerful right now? Absolutely. Once again, if you like the deck, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on twitch.tv/video game house. You can see it in the description below. And let's get over to the gameplay. Now, these all were matches that were played actually in a online tournament. This was a crazy good start when we start Smoochum and Lillie's Clefairy. Like I said, a lot of these options are pretty good when we start, so we were able to open up a Telepathic Energy and a Lillie's, and we did get to go second. Now, of course, this deck is all about going second. Our matchup is against a Meganium, Arbovila, Teal Mask, Ogerpon type list, which luckily it looks like they didn't really start too strong, but we can see that they have a Hoot in the back. So without a Teal Mask Ogerpon, Noctowl's ability does not trigger. We are always thinking about these kinds of Pokemon in the back row because they will become a threat later on in terms of helping them get their combo, especially when they open up this kind of like weak play. We obviously don't want to get rid of our energies here. We don't want to get rid of our bosses over here because we want to try and deal with that Noctowl. So instead of just tossing Lillies to try and get potentially more of a board state, we already can see Smoochum is a free retreat. We don't need it anymore, so if our opponent can take a knockout on it, we'll let them. That way we can get up our Mega Floette following this up, which is why we went into Mega Floette and Xerneas, because we can still have a single price attacker Xerneas be set up that is able to still handle EX Pokemon like Teal Mask Ogerpon as soon as Mega Floette comes down. Now, this is a bit of a gamble because we do see that our opponent did have a Hoot. We do see the fact that they did find Teal Mask Ogerpon. Luckily, they were unable to find the Noctowl to make the combo continue, and they still haven't shown me a supporter yet, so we're not too worried. We are a little worried about the fact that Badoo does exist, so it could stop us from using things like Wondrous Patch, but of course, like I stated before, Hoot is our big concern. We can't one-shot either Teal Mask or Fezandipiti with the board state that we have, so we go after the single prize attacker, so we do not have to deal with it later. We don't have any spread damage Pokemon like Deoxys, which is another good Pokemon that came out of Chaos Rising. The only reason we don't run it is because it does need 3 energies just to do 120 damage, and if it has 2 extra energies on it, it's able to do 120 to the bench as well. We're worried about the energy resources we have to put into that, since we do only run 13 energies. Mega Floette may be able to set it up, but if our opponent goes after it, it harms Xerneas, it harms Deoxys, it harms our back row attack, so if we're going into it to try and win the game, our opponent will obviously see it, because we need time to set it up. Our opponent can't take out Mega Floette this turn, so they go into Xerneas and take that out instead, which was genuinely a good move, because it does harm my way to play the game. We still have options like Prism Tower. I don't think we're getting to Special Red Card just yet, so I don't try and go into it, and look for our boy Kieran. Just before, I was saying how good Kieran really is. It doesn't feel like it is, but Kieran is an actual answer that can still get you where you need to go. Funny enough, we also set up the Tuck Tail attack for Meowth, because Tuck Tail allows you to hit for 60, where we're still looking at a Badoo, and put the Meowth and the energy back into my hand. We run cards like Lillie's Determination that shuffle cards back into our deck, and we do have to worry about our opponent playing things like their own Special Red Card. So if we end up getting the energies sent back into our deck, sometimes it's actually not that bad, because Mega Floette can still bring it back out. We also didn't want to play Ange Floette because of the fact my opponent does run a 4 count of the Forest of Vitality, and we haven't seen a singular one of them. So, well, this was a tournament. It was closed deckless. I wasn't entirely sure. I assumed they were running a 4 of, so I didn't want to throw Ange Floette and just lose my Ange Floette, because we run 4 Prism Towers. So if we lose 1, we still have 3, and we have run 3 Ange Floette. So we still have the ability to get it on the board. I didn't want to waste the card, so we held on to it. My opponent is unfortunately able to find the answer to get that damage, because he needed exactly 3 energy on him with the 3 energy that I had to hit up to the damage we needed, plus Meganium, of course, to get that damage out. So we just don't want to use Prism Tower. We don't want to give him the access to use Prism Tower as well. So we're trying to figure out a good bench and to hopefully get up enough damage. We will be missing a teeny bit of damage, but it does give me time to kind of set myself up. And like I said before, the Lillie's Pearl pickup was a huge save, like absurd, because we cannot get a knockout here, but we have 3 prizes to take. They have 2 prizes to take. If they found bosses, yes, they do get it, but luckily for us, they did not. So we're in like a very, very precarious situation here, because obviously if you look at the board state, we're looking for boss here just so we can play next turn. And no matter what happens, I have a Smoochum with 20 HP. So boss would just make me lose the game outright. He has to find the energy, of course, but boss makes me lose the game outright. So it didn't really matter where this hero's cape went, but I was going to put in the Lillie's Clefairy so that way it had more HP, but thinking it outright, we didn't need to, because we put an energy on Lillie's Clefairy. If we put it on Floette and Wonder Patched an energy onto Floette, our Floette could have had 500, which, after deliberating with chat and everybody, the smarter option would have been putting Mega Floette with 500 HP, because it forces my opponent's only answer to win the game is to boss's orders to take out Smoochum, because Smoochum has 20 HP. Any boss's orders would have brought up the Smoochum to win the game. But he doesn't have the energy. He just got Special Red Card in. The thing is that he does have Meganium. He needs to just find 2 energy to play the game. And obviously with 4 Lillies in your deck and a billion different ways to bring out those energies, it didn't seem so bad. I think we went into his discard pile right there to check the energy count. So thank everything, we got very lucky that our opponent did not have an answer, and we were able to dunk on the Badoo to get the last prize. But that Lillie's Pearl, that Kieran, those very simple one-ofs all kind of snowballed into winning that matchup. It's just a quick reminder that a one-of can still save you. Unfortunately, that's why we have Petrel added to the deck in this tournament. You see right there, actually, there's a Cyrano in the list. During the tournament, we did not appreciate the Cyrano so much because it doesn't really do much. Our turn 1 needs to kind of include a Smoochum, or else it becomes a little bit more difficult to play the match out. So, very quickly, Cyrano only helps us find EXs, which to me felt more like a late game thing to thin out my deck a little more, but it was super unnecessary. So we switched those out with Petrel to help us find better cards. Latias getting item locked does feel pretty bad, but at least we can still pull some cards out of our deck with Cyrano. But, you know, if this was a Petrel, like, I don't think it would have changed too much, since we did get the telepathic energy, Xerneas Smoochum, and then we can freely retreat with the Latias that we have in the active, so Smoochum can attack. Staring down a Badoo, not a big deal. But I did also want to put this deck in this match into perspective because of the fact that my opponent is running one of the newer cards from Chaos or Chaos Rising, Vulpix. That Vulpix evolves into a Ninetales with a 1 fire energy attack that says takes the damage from one of your bench Pokemon and put it onto your opponent's Pokemon. Team Rocket's Wobbuffet has an attack just like that, but with Dragapult having a little bit more HP and Hero's Cape existing, just an idea, for those of you playing Dragapult, might not be that bad. It runs, you know, you run your fire energy anyway, and, you know, it makes your opponent have to play around the fact that they, you know, if you don't one-shot me, I'm now going to, you know, stop you from doing anything. And my opponent started this match so well with the triple Dreepy, the Monkey Dory bench. Everything felt so good. Unfortunately, Dragapult doesn't really run too many rare candies anymore. So with a very small, very dead hand that I was looking at, I thought, okay, this is fine. We'll set up Fezandipiti to snipe. My opponent counterplays using the Pokepad to go get Shaman rather than getting a Drag Cloak, because he knows that I'm going to start sniping his bench to take out the Drag Cloak, and then I'll just start going after each one of them. So if he doesn't find an answer with that Drag Cloak, he will lose outright. Unfortunately for him, I had a boss, took out the Shaman, and now he's trying to defend his bench and expects me to attack his act. So, thinking about it a little bit, deliberating, we're just like, Fez can attack still, and we can just start sniping individually all the Dreepies, so that way even if he gets to a Dragloak, he still has to evolve into a Dragapult and still has to keep the energies. So he needs a double Dragloak here, and then he needs a Crespin in hand and a Dragapult just to start attacking, and Fezandipiti is over the amount of damage a Dragapult can even pull off. And since they don't have anything like Frostlass or anything like that, Monkey Dory can't take out a functioning Fezandipiti. So we're just gonna start moving some cards around. His stadium doesn't really do anything for us, so it just kind of bumps, but that's not a big deal. So there goes Dragcloak. So now he's down to Dreepy again with only 2 cards in hand, and we're just keeping him on that back foot. We're not letting him have anything to play with. What does Red Card do, you know? What does Ninetales do in this situation? He hits a Lillies. He only has 1 Dreepy on the board, and he knows I'm going to snipe it with Fezandipiti if he doesn't find an answer. I don't know what card he could have been looking for in order to find an answer. Maybe Crushing Hammer these days. But I mean, yes, Fezandipiti can get confused. But I don't think it really matters. We are at a 6-2 deficit, so we're ahead, or a 6-2 advanced, or whatever the word is, where we have taken 4 prizes already. My opponent just threw away a Brock and a Crespin in order to get another Dreepy out, so if I find an answer, I'm just thinking, like, it doesn't matter, because if he takes a knockout, we have Ultra Ball for, like, Lillie's Clefairy, and then any of our Pokemon can still get a knockout, so we just accept the fact we're not taking out a Dragcloak this turn, and just move on. It is 6-1. I don't really know what you can do. Yes, you can technically, you know, spread damage, take out the Smoochum on the bench, but then you're not going anywhere from there, and you have to take a knockout. With the board state the way that it is, you're not taking a knockout, even on Mega Floette, who only has 250 HP, but there you go, you got 1 energy, and Lillies again. Yeah, 4 of Lillies. Very cool gameplay, by the way. I really do believe there should be some sort of a limiting list where you can only run like 2 Lillies or something along those lines, mainly just due to the fact that Lillies just seems like an every turn occurrence just to keep getting your board state set up, because you don't really need other supporters. Every deck, in my opinion, at this point is just like running the same, you know, 10 supporters of just options of 4 Lillies or maybe a Judge or 2. Everyone's going to be running one of Red's, you know, Special Red Card. But, you know, felt very good to Fezandipiti stealing so many prizes right there. Just felt so good. You guys have now seen Tuck Tail for a knockout with Meowth, and not 1, not 2, but multiple Fezandipiti snipes. Yes, Floette is the main attacker, but it can set up any Pokemon to attack. This includes our side attackers with Xerneas, Fez, Meowth. Everything has an ability or a chance to attack. We're going to be going into the Smoochum and the Latias anyway, so we just kind of didn't worry too much about where we were going to go with this. We get the free retreat into the Smoochum. Our board state is Froakie, so we're looking at Mega Greninja, another huge Pokemon of Chaos Rising. And we're more of thinking, what can we do in follow-up turns? We have a Prism Tower. We know they have supporting, they have stadiums, but we don't know where they are or how many they have, so we're just trying to set ourselves up. Bam. Board state filled. 1 Ultra Ball, 1 Telepathic, and we have a Smoochum in the attacking line. So our first turn going second sets up everything we need for the rest of the game. Xerneas now has an energy. Mega Floette has 2 energies. 1 energy attached on Mega Floette, and we're just golden. So now it just comes down to, what should we do this time? It looks like they're using a Dragcloak draw engine with a Mega Greninja attack. I like the idea with the Mega Greninja because of the Twilight Masquerade still being in print. You can run a 1 Water Energy 170 that allows you to search any card out of your deck and add it to your hand, or 1 Water Energy 2 Colorless to, I believe, ping 120 on 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. So you have a big 170 fighting type, which is really good because a lot of the support Pokemon like Fez and Meowth are both weak to fighting. You have a spread damaging move, which is not hard to pull off because 1 Water Energy is what you're attacking with already, and then you just follow it up with an Ignition and you're already off to the races. And then you have the new Mega Greninja EX. which allows you to discard 1 water energy from your hand in order to place 6 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. If you use that, plus AZ's Tranquility, switching, or other options, even an air balloon to manually switch out, you can bring in a second Mega Greninja and just keep discarding your water energies one at a time, pinging 60, and then the main attack of Mega Greninja EX is 2 water energies. You can add a water energy from this Pokemon back to your hand in order to hit for 200 damage. It's 120 base, but it is 200 if you boost it. So, pretty strong. Especially when you're pinging for, 60. If your opponent is a setup deck, kind of like mine, where you can see that I have a Smoochum there, my opponent is able to just discard 1 water energy and delete a Smoochum for a free prize. Although I've already set up a Hero's Cape Mega Floette, so, what do you do? like it has 350 HP, just like your Mega Greninja, by the way, and is able to just stare my opponent down and do basically nothing. We've only taken 1 prize off of his basic, and now we've seen a second prize to be stolen, basically. He used his stadium to remove my stadium, so I just removed his because neither one of us can do anything with our stadiums realistically. And we're just going to set up all of our Pokemon. So the Lillie's Clefairy does hit double damage on the fighting type, all of our Pokemon hit double damage on the fighting type regular Greninja EX. So he'll most likely never play that one down. But if you look very carefully at Xerneas over there and our whole bench of energies, which is showing 10 energies right now, we're already hitting for a swell amount of damage. I believe it's just 12 energies is 36. So we can take that knockout on our opponent if we get 2 energies on the bench. So even if he can take a knockout, say on Mega Floette, or, if he pings the Smoochum, like I said, we can actually play Meowth and go into options like Lillie's in order to reset our hand. If we find Wondrous, we could actually get a free energy from the discard pile back onto our bench in order to attack for 12 total energies in 1 move. Or we even have 1 energy in hand and Kieran. So we can actually manually switch out to Xerneas and have, or if my opponent takes a knockout, I can switch into Xerneas, manually attach, play Kieran, give it the plus 30, and still hit for 360. It was so comforting to be sitting in this position, just go like, yeah, we're gonna get rid of that Mega and go to 1 prize card remaining. We've taken out a Froakie and we took out a Badoo, I believe, and my opponent just wants to get a knockout here, which seems a little odd to just force a knockout, but if that's the best he can do, I guess it's the best he can do. I don't know if he had another energy in hand or if there was a way for him to get more energies in hand, because he easily could have just discarded, destroyed Smoochum, and then taken a knockout to go to 3. Maybe he was trying to not do that to invoke my special red card. Not that he knew I had it, but ideas. We do have 12 energies on the board right now with that Xerneas, so he was able to take 2 prizes, but at the cost of a Mega, so we give up our Kieran. We're just kind of floating. We have another setup, so now we have 2 boosted Mega Floettes. One that gets the ability from Ange Floette, giving it an extra 150 HP, and the other one getting the extra 150 HP and the Hero's Cape for 500 HP. What are you doing about that when your best amount of damage is 200? Point Floette, no point Greninja, the staple, the big name card of the entire set, losing to Flower. Just saying, just pointing it out. Also, with the count that I have on my board state, I have well over 1,000 HP. If you want to say it, I have 900 HP on the board with 2 Pokemon. That's pretty crazy. We can just let the game play out. As you can see, my opponent's just trying to grasp for straws at this point. We still have Meowth. We have 1 prize card remaining and all of our Pokemon are set up, so we can easily just go into Meowth, Meowth boss's orders. My opponent hits me with that special red card, and we still find the boss's orders anyway. We still had, I believe, 2 Ultra Balls and Meowth. Even under different options, we still had opportunity to find the draw pieces that we needed. My opponent gets the ping. He sets himself to 3 prizes. And of course, Ninja Spinner, the attack, allows him to take the knockout on Xerneas. But unfortunately, there's still 2 prize cards remaining. Latias would be an option, but we just see that Meowth, go for the 200, call it a day. The matchups felt so good. The combos were all there, the pieces were all there, and I really wanted to show off just how those tech pieces that we've run into with our deck became so much more than simple cards that we can easily take in or remove. So the Lillie's Pearl saved us because if our opponent took a knockout, they would only get 1 prize. So we were able to stall out 1 more turn, which gave us the win. What's it called? Tuck Tail Meowth did pull up a knockout, which allowed us to take it off the board for that 170 HP weak 2 prize support Pokemon. We took it off the board while also getting our energies back and swinging a knockout for it. And Fezandipiti was a hero in that match where we were able to get the Mega Floette to set up the Fez, and our opponent was weary of the Fez because he knew I was able to ping the bench. He went with a Pokepad into a Shaman rather than going Pokepad into Drag Cloak, because if he whiffs on the Drag Cloak, he would have lost the game anyway. So we end up going into our attacker into just taking out those Pokemon. You know, we boss up his Shaman, knock that out. He had nothing in his hand to fix it. He thought he would be able to stall out a couple of extra turns because the Shaman would be in the way. But since we took it out right away and we started sniping the bench, Fezandipiti was strong, Meowth was strong, Kieran helped us win a matchup by using it as a switch option and boosting it for plus 30. That little thing that Kieran can do was huge. Like I said, there are definitely some improvements the deck can make, which is why we change out the Cyranos into Petrels. I'm sure that we can find a space for one of Wally's. I think maybe we can add another Colress to help us get that turn 1 special energy out for Telepathic to kind of boost our playstyle, but I think there's plenty we can do with the deck. I think it's still super versatile, and I think there's still way more to come, because as more sets come out, more Psychic Pokemon are going to get printed that could be heavily influenced by Mega Floette by giving it that plus 3 energy like Deoxys. Still hasn't been tested, but it has the same attack as a Greninja EX. You know, you hit that 5 energies and you hit 120 to active and then 120 to bench, so you can take out other Pokemon as another support sniper, just like Fez. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.